Greetings everyone, this is Jonathan. I'm a master's in business administration. For the past 1 year, I have been guiding and consulting university students with their academic needs. Today, I'll be taking you through a common type of project that students are generally asked to compile during their academic coursework. The research work that we are going to talk about in this session is related to report writing in management. I will be making use of a sample research work that I have already compiled in this tutorial. So these are the requirements in the research work. We have to write a 1500 words report on the topic population growth in Australia in the past 2 decades, the major contributing factors to the population growth and the subsequent changes in business environment. Moving on to the solution file, this is the first page, which is the title page. I have provided a generic title for the report. The second page, we provide table of contents. This includes all the relevant headings for the discussion in the report. From the next page, we start the write-up. The first part of the write-up is introduction. In the introduction section, I define population as well as population growth and discuss its implications on economic and business environment within a country. In the next section, we start with the discussion on population growth in Australia. First of all, I define how much population has increased in the last 2 decades in Australia. Moreover, I also discuss the components of population growth in Australia. There can be 2 reasons for population growth. First is the natural increase. This natural increase refers to the total number of births minus the total number of deaths within a given time period. The other reason is net overseas migration. This refers to how many people have arrived within a country from other locations in the world. I have also provided statistical figures related to both the components of population increase in Australia. We can get this information from online government sources. One such source is Australian Bureau of Statistics. In order to access this source, what we can do is we can type population trends in the past 2 decades in Australia and then click on search button, and then we have to look for Australian Bureau of Statistics website and then click on enter. When we enter that, we can access the information regarding population trends in Australia. In the next section, I have discussed trends in population growth. I have discussed this on the basis of 3 factors. These 3 factors are annual growth rate, population distribution by gender and age group, as well as urban population. The selection for these 3 trends has been done in such a way that it can be related to a business environment within a country. I have used statistical figures for this section also. We can access this information in a similar manner as we discussed earlier. For example, we can type annual growth rate in Australia and then click on enter, and then we should look for something similar to this, Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. So this is also a government source, and through this we can access relevant information. Moving on, in the next section I have discussed factors contributing to population growth. This is also done on the basis of 3 factors. These 3 factors are fertility rate, net overseas migration, and net internal migration. Fertility rate refers to the average number of children born to a woman within a country. I have provided a rationale as how this fertility rate has resulted to the population change in Australia. For this, I have used online as well as academic sources. In order to access these sources, we can make use of these keywords. The next factor is net overseas migration. It takes into account the number of people that come into a country from other countries as well as the number of people that leave a country to live in other countries. It has been discussed that net overseas migration is the major factor for increase in the population of Australia in the past 2 decades. I make use of several sources to provide a rationale for the impact of this factor on population trends in Australia. Furthermore, the next factor is net internal migration. This refers to the movement of people within a country. Although this may not lead to the change in population of a country, but it leads to the change in demographic patterns which is of use for business environment. In the next section, we discuss demographic impacts on the business environment in Australia. In this section, I make use of demographic transition theory to assess the impact of population growth as well as population trends on the economic development in Australia. On the basis of this assessment, 3 characteristics for the population trends in Australia have been identified. These 3 characteristics are aging population, declining fertility rate, and increasing urbanization. I briefly discuss each of these factors and their impact on business environment in a society. So this concludes our main discussion for the report. The next section is conclusion. In this concluding paragraph, I provide a brief summary of all the discussions that we have done earlier in the body section. Lastly, we finish the concluding paragraph by writing a few statements that sum up the entire discussion that we carried out in the report. So this concludes our writer part. On the next page, we provide a list of references. This includes all the sources that we have used to write this report. With this, I conclude this tutorial. I hope it was helpful to you. Good luck on your academic endeavors. Thank you.